on to the regular scheduled work session for August 3rd, 2020 at 6 p.m. Good evening, everyone. And Ms. Berner, if you would call roll, please.
Yeah, Mayor Lowry,
Here.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Here.
Councilman Grimm,
I'm here.
Councilwoman Nowakowski. She's absent tonight. Councilman Cobb,
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Here.
and Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
6 members present.
Thank you. And just in case I forget somebody, I'll make a note, make sure we excuse Ms. Nowakowski at the end of the meeting. And moving on to the invocation by Mr. Cobb, sir.
Dear Heavenly Father, help us, guide us and help us get through what we think is best for our citizens in the city of New Carlisle. Watch over our first responders, watch over our deputies, and look after our military. And also help us get through this pandemic. I wish it was over, but I gotta just hopefully we get through it. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much, sir. And moving on to the pledge, and Mr. Grimm has the flag. The pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Grimm. We appreciate that. All righty, and let's see here. Actions on the minutes, none. Communications, none. City manager's report, none. Comments from members of the public. Mr. Bridge, do you have anything on your end?
We still got the email from Ms. Manaman regarding the trash. So since we're about ready to segue into that, we go ahead. It's a rather long email, and it's the one she sent out to all council members and myself.
Right.
Back on, actually, Grimm forwarded it to the council questions on 7/21. She actually sent this on February 27th. So, but it was re-forwarded to the council questions at newcarlisle.net on 7/21. So it is a rather long email. Do you want me to go ahead and read that, or how do you want me to?
Well, did anybody on council not see that email? Has everybody seen it?
Mm-hmm.
You just want me to do a summary of it for the public, perhaps?
Yeah, if you want to just do a brush through of what it consists of.
Yeah. So this is from Mrs. Manaman. We all know her, very nice lady. She had some questions regarding the contract, waste management contract. And then she just has some bullet points here. I'll just go ahead and summarize those bullet points. One, can we avoid a further cost increase? She said cost in 2016 was $43 per quarter. In 2020, it's about $53. It's a 25% increase. Can we see if Waste Management will match Ohio Golden Buckeye thresholds? Waste Management has a senior tier that's 65 and older. Golden Buckeye is 60 and older. So I think council's kind of shooting for that 55 and older. So I think that's going to satisfy that. Her third bullet point was, can we include better options for yard waste disposal? Let me read over this real quick. So it looks like basically the one cart that she has, the 96 gallon, by the time she puts her regular trash in and trash other miscellaneous items on top of the yard waste, it gets to be a little bit too crowded in there. And she goes on to say that the best solution for that is allow Waste Management up to 8 times a year to pick up additional yard waste. So council's all seen that. Just want to summarize it there for the public, but just basically some questions about cost and the level of service for the waste management contract.
Okay. Does the council have any comments or anything they'd like to add or to that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I
Sure.
have talked to Allied Waste Management and Rumpke. They will sell the bags for additional yard waste or extra packages, stuff to throw in case it does not fit in your tote. Way that is the city makes a percentage off the bags. They say that the city would have to handle selling the bags. I mean, they're not going to do nothing for nothing.
Right.
And, as far as that goes, we still get a percentage off the bags.
So do we have to buy those bags in advance and then hold on to our stock and sell them as we go?
I didn't get an answer on that.
Okay.
I didn't think of that. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. It's a lot going on with that. Okay. Because I think with the trash bags before, we bought those in advance and then resold them.
Yeah, to be honest, that's a good question because I don't remember. I mean, I remember the city building selling them. I just don't remember what the process was as far as how we actually got our hands on them.
We had,
I don't know.
yeah, that was we bought them in advance. So we order a bag from Waste Management for for easy conversation's sake, $100, and then resold them at cost. We didn't make any money off of them.
Right.
We did have to because there were multiple times I had to go down to the Waste Management facility in Fairborn and pick some up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me throw a question in here, if I may. With the virus and the fact that we've got the lobby closed, would this not be a possible situation that would be more of a detriment rather than a solution to solve the problem?
Aren't we looking at next year with this contract?
We're looking at January or December 1.
Number one, it starts.
Ms. Eggleston.
Weren't we discussing reopening the lobby when we get the new window?
Yeah, I know that's going to get talked about this evening as well. So that'll be another topic to kind of go along with Mr. Vice Mayor's comment question.
Is there any way if we did go to that 1st of December and we decided to sell the bags, if they sold either down there where the tool rental or tool
Tool lending
tool
center.
that, or at the Kwanzaa hut?
It probably best. I mean, we would have to probably do that out of the city building. I'm almost adamant we would because that would be a cash transaction. So we would have to have safeguards in place. I would, if council does end up going that route, it'd probably best just to have them come to the city building. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if this is for yard waste, I mean, if they say it starts December 1, I mean, we're not going to get the yard waste season until, probably a few months after that.
Probably not early spring.
Yeah, early spring. So we would still have some time to adjust should council want to do that route.
The only thing you will have is right after Christmas, the extra packages and wrapping paper.
Was that just for yard waste or is that for miscellaneous stuff? Like if you had to buy the bags, was that bag only for yard waste or it could be?
No, it can be used also for extra trash.
Okay, got you. So if we allow that to happen, the reason I wanted to rediscuss that and I put trash bid specs, trash bag discussion only is, do you think that if we have that option, since it's all going to be automated, is that going to increase the cost across the board for all the citizens? Even though they're still selling the bags and they're making money off that, is the overall quarterly cost going to be impacted by them having the potential of having to get out of the car?
Now, if we do that with the bags, according to all three, there's no extra cost. You're buying the bag, which Rumpke's Waste Management and Allied, or whatever their name is, they will pick that up. They will put the driver out to throw it in the tub
Gotcha.
at no extra cost. They're buying the bag.
Cost of the bag should cover it.
Cost of the bags.
Pardon?
The cost of the bag should cover.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And they'll still automate dump the trash.
Mr. Vice Mayor, did you have something?
Yeah, we had originally talked about these bags possibly being placed around Christmas time with let's say a 3-bag limit with no cost involved. My concern is that when you're figuring a bid such as this, and you're not somehow responding with the amount of revenue, the hauler does not have any idea whether he's going to get 3 bags per route or 300. Now, for each time that driver gets out of that truck, it's going to be a very costly proposition, because he could probably pick up 2 more stops while he's doing that one.
May I say something?
Go ahead, Ms. Hopkins.
It seemed to me like Mr. Cobb asked each one of them, and they feel that the cost of the bag's going to cover all the extra, whether it's 2 bags or 5 bags, right, Mr. Cobb?
Well, it's however many bags that the customer buys. If the customer buys 5 bags, and you're going to sit 5 bags out there by your rump or by your tote, yes, they're going to pick all 5 bags up. And yes, like Mr. Cook says, it's going to slow him down because when he gets out, but there's no additional cost, only what the bag costs.
Now, if I may finish, we had discussed this at no cost. Now, if we're going to go to a situation where the city building is going to be open and they're going to have to pay for the bags, then yes, you have a completely different animal.
Do council members, to be very fair and honest, like, we at the city building don't get a lot of complaints about waste management and then the extra yard waste. I think most people just get by using their existing bin or, however they choose to get by. So we don't get a lot of complaints on the yard waste situation. I don't know about individual council members. I'm just going to play both sides of the fence here. So hopefully you guys take that into your consideration with how you guys want to move forward with it. It's such a complicated thing with how to best suit your residents. We will do at the city building whatever council thinks is best for the citizens. We've done it before with bags. Sometimes there wasn't hassle with getting bags from the supplier. Now we have additional revenue that we're going to budget for if we have to go out and buy those bags up front, which is, again, no big deal. We'll have to put it in the budget. But I just would hope council would weigh the cost benefit of this versus how many actual complaints we get on that particular section of the trash bin.
Yeah, I've never gotten anything excessive. It doesn't matter what service it is, but I've gotten a couple complaints here or there about this type of, or this part of the service or that part of the service, but nothing dramatic. I would hate to see the bags go back to the city building if it's not really warranted, because it's just more work that Angela's going to have to deal with, and you probably as well having to deal with getting the bags on hand. But that's just my 2 cents.
Anything else? And I want council to discuss too, but just we see a lot on the day-to-day side of things. Council wanted to go away with the bags the first time because of the mess it made with animals getting in there. So if people are allowed to buy extra bags, I'm sure they're just not going to limit that to yard waste or Christmas wrapping. If someone wants a new bag every month for additional garbage, it's going to be allowed to be placed in that bag as well. So then you're kind of going back to the first issue where we had trash strewn all over some city streets. And that happens every single time, but we don't put a bag in a bin, an animal usually gets into it. So I just want council to think about that scenario as well.
Don't we have an ordinance that trash has to be in a sealed container?
Mm-hmm.
But
The last waste management contract we had, that's when people could use their own container or use a bag, and people just threw them on the streets. And you're talking about something hard to enforce.
Because I would assume
There
it
may
would
be something here, Mr. Grimm. I'm not sure. I'm to be honest with you, but I do know past practices was just bags just on the curb.
in order to fight that potential problem, Mr. Bridge, like, if someone was putting bags out they weren't supposed to and they were making a mess, I mean, that would fall under the procedures of anything else that you guys would enforce code wise, right? So, I mean, it would be almost impossible to really put the process in place unless we put a new process specifically for this, right?
I mean, we'd have to, when we get wind of someone doing it, we have to give them a warning and, violation period. And by the time that violation period's over, it's going to reset itself because the next track pickup's going to be there. So it's one of those
Right.
things very hard to enforce. That, I mean, honestly, our guys should be focusing on other things than, trash being spit out, but definitely doable if we have to go that route, but they would be the same process. Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
my lights here have been flickering for the past few minutes. If I lose power, I drop off. That's why.
Okay, well,
Carry
we
on.
lose you. Yeah, we'll make sure Randy sends you another invite or something.
Well, I won't have any way of connecting.
Oh, well, I mean, I didn't know if it was to come back on.
Are you guys getting hit up there yet pretty bad? Is it starting to come
Not
in?
really.
No?
We're
Okay.
just hearing a lot of thunder and dark clouds.
So,
And my lights had been flickering. That's also fine.
So if we happen to lose power, our contingency plan will be, I'll just give Mr. Mayor a call and the vice mayor a call. We do conference calls all the time until we can get everyone reconnected should everyone lose power up there.
okay. Mr. Vice Mayor, did you have anything else to add on this?
No, I just wanted to clarify the situation. I think Mr. Cobb has done the homework on the cost of the bags. Doing it that way versus the bags being set out with no cost incurred. And I think if we're going to do the bag route, we have to go with the cost involved, which would be the selling of the bags.
Okay.
And that way, the individual opposed to the whole city paying for it.
Right. You mean, so the customer would go buy the bags themselves, right? Is that what
Right.
you're saying? Okay. Yeah, that I don't have a problem with.
Are you guys going to be okay with just trash sitting at the curb though? Because then we're going to revert back to our 2016 contract. And that was a big issue with council, was just people putting trash on the curb,
Right.
on the bag.
But we'll still have the cans, right? The
Yeah,
bags
you're
are gonna,
gonna have totes.
right, you'll buy the
No,
Well, you
as
still have
far as I-
bags.
Right, but the point of the bag is to use the bag when the tote's full.
Right. Yes.
What's going to happen is a family of, say a family's going to get the low end tier, not the senior tier, but if they end up getting, say the, is it 96? What's the next gallon down from the 96? So we'll say the middle sized tote, so it's cheaper. And then
Before.
what you do is just buy a bag every month to use a bag instead of buying the 96 gallon tier service. Does that make sense? So I think you'll see a lot of people shift to that middle level tier. And
And
if
then,
the difference is
Can I make a suggestion here?
yeah.
Now myself, I rent 2 totes. And one tote's just strictly for yard waste. Can we just mandatory we do totes only and if they want to rent for yard waste, just use the second tote and get a smaller one? Not even go with the bags?
so you're saying get a small tote for yard waste?
Well, whatever they want to use, trash, yard waste, Christmas wrapping, boxes, whatever.
My only concern is if we're gonna whimmer jammer around with this procedure, how much longer is this gonna forestall the bid process? If we have to go ahead and change the specs.
we would have to have an answer. Everything's set up, ready to go tonight because we got to get it in. It's we got to get it in. December 1 is going to be here a lot sooner than what we think. We have to give them at least 30 days, month and a half to even prepare for it.
Right. Well, you just want to, I mean, we could just go down the line here and kind of get a opinion on if everybody wants to kind of keep where we've already been or make an addition with the bags, and then I'll just give you your answer. Ms. Hopkins, what do you think?
I think to keep it simple and get this process going, we should keep with just the totes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Grimm?
What we have now appears to be working, but I am not thrilled with the idea of forcing these little their containers. People, your own trash can should be fine
Okay,
if a prospective bidder does not have the automated system.
I was gonna, may I say something?
go ahead.
That's the only problem, Mr. Grimm, I see with having your own containers is because most of them have the automated system.
But
And then
not-
that wouldn't work so well.
We're probably going to have two responsive bidders to this bid, Rumpke and Waste Management.
Right. Did you,
Allied don't think Allied didn't bid last time because it was automated.
Mr. Grimm, did you have anything else?
No,
Okay.
well, just what Randy said should prove my point. They didn't bid because it has to be automated.
Right.
I mean, we're leaving out a lot of local companies that would have the capability of picking up trash that don't have automated stuff.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ms. Eggleston?
I've not had that many complaints about yard waste. And the city does, we pick up yard waste, what, twice a year?
And brush, yeah.
So I'd say just leave it with the totes and they can set their yard waste out when we pick it up. And we have the scheduled pickups.
So it's like hybrid city services and then trash contract.
Right.
A lot of people do that. I mean, our limit brush pickup program is actually very popular.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people look forward to it.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Eggleston. Mr. Cobb, did you have anything else you wanted to add on?
Well, what she's talking about, yard waste, you're talking about grass clippings, garden stuff. What Mr. Bridges talked about, the city picks up branches,
Mhm.
but they don't pick up grass clippings and they don't pick up garden material or weed material or whatever. Yes, Allied does not have automation. But like I say, I would just soon stay with the totes. We don't have to worry about wildlife coming in here, ripping bags open, throwing trash all over the city. I've seen enough of that.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Cobb and Mr. Cook. So if I'm pretty sure, like, all right, say April rolls around and I want to just have a tote for a few months, I can just call on a tote for 4 months and then give it back when I'm done using it, right?
Yeah, I believe you can.
Because that might be cheaper than if those bags are $5 a pop, for example, and you need 2 bags and one pickup, that's $10. It's not going to be more expensive for you to rent that mid-tier thing for a couple months and just use that strictly for yard waste, and you'll probably get a little more bang out of your buck. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what a 54 gallon runs. I know the 96 right now is up. But, you know, even if you went to a smaller tote than the 54 as the second one for yard waste. But I know if you go to your own trash can, they're going to up the fee on that.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Cobb. And Mr. Vice Mayor, you got anything, sir, else to add?
We're gonna stay with the toters as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Yeah, I want to kind of piggyback off of real quick what Mr. Cobb had said. Because you remember a while back, I think it was right around when you'd come on board, Mr. Bridge, to the city before city manager. And it was, I mean, there was constant problems with skunks. I mean, it was just, I mean, it was people were always talking about it. And that's right about the time, I think, when we got rid of the bags altogether. So, or in that
Right.
general time frame. So I think that's probably played a key part. I mean, you're never going to get rid of all the animals and the rodents and pests, but I think it would definitely, you know, bring some of that back if we did go back to bags sitting on the curb.
Yeah, I was fine.
I'm fine with the totes.
Okay, so it sounds like the consensus, do we need to put that to a formal vote?
Let me get Mr. Vice Mayor real quick.
Looking at the waste management thing that they sent down to us, the additional 96-gallon cart rental was $11.75 a month.
Okay.
So as Mr. Bridge had said, if you go with 2 of the bags at $5 a piece, you just shot the month on an additional cart.
Right. Okay. So, Mr. Bridge, did you want to, yeah, like you were saying, did you want a formal vote on this to move forward with the said bid specs?
Hey, what, let me pose a question to council and then you guys can formally vote off that just so I'm clear with how to move forward. So my question to council is, right now in the current bid specs, it says to put some down there for additional for holiday stuff. So what we're doing is we're leaving bags completely out of the bid specs.
Correct. Or that's why I'm taking it.
Okay, if that's the case, then bags out of the bid specs. Ms. Berner, if you could call the vote on that, that'd be great.
I'll make a motion.
Or however
Yeah.
that, yeah,
I'll
sorry.
make a motion that we go just totes.
Second.
Second,
Mr. Cobb and second by Ms. Hopkins.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We're in, can we go ahead and, you want to save this for
It
the
would
actual
be,
council meeting?
You guys are allowed to vote in work session. It's a
Right, but I think, well, it's up to council. If you guys want to do it now, we can, or we can hold it to the main meeting.
we can wait another half hour.
That's what I was thinking.
Me too.
So we'll just,
I would like to say something.
okay.
And by requiring these tote things, we're adding to the cost to the citizens.
You're also
Those-
adding to the cost if you allow them to use whatever container you want, because if
Those-
you use whatever container you want, that one particular container may not be able to be.
Excuse me,
Oh, I'm sorry, did I have a bad connection?
no, I was in the midst of a sentence, sir.
I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
By requiring these tote things, we're adding to the cost. If someone can submit a lower bid, not requiring automation, then what's wrong with that? Everybody has access to trash cans, sealed plastic trash cans with the lid that seals. They're what, $10 a handyman,
Right.
which is about the cost of one of their things. But the trash can that the person gets to keep, it's theirs. It's not the trash company's, it's theirs. I am strongly against requiring automation.
We'll go with, you guys are both at the same time, so I'll get Mr. Vice Mayor, then to you, Mr. Bridge.
Okay. With probably the majority of my life involved with trash and refuse, when you take the automated system out of the process and you go with the standard rear loader, you're going to be adding, I don't want to say this, additional man hours and labor to any contract. I would almost guarantee you that when you go to the automated system, you are going to be getting a lower price than going with standard bags, cans, the rear load system.
And how much does waste management charge a month?
Depends on the size of the can.
30 something a month?
No,
Probably.
No, your new price for waste management standard service, and I believe that was with the 96-gallon toter plus the recycling, would have went to $18.56 a month. I think right now we're somewhere in the neighborhood, a little over $15, if my memory serves me right.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not trying to be interrupt, but on the agenda, it says trash bag discussion only on the trash big specs. I don't know if that has an impact on what you guys can and can't talk about with the trash bid.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir,
if you go to do away with the automation, you're now talking more money for that driver to have to get out and empty that trash can. If you go to an automation will tear up a $10 trash can within 1 month with that claw grabbing that trash can, because they're cheaper made versus the tote.
Mr. Bridge.
Another thing too, and Mr. Grimm, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry, I didn't hear you speaking, but I thought you had stopped. But there's no guarantee that every citizen is going to get a trash can that's compatible for automation. You have to get the one with the bar on top of it. So that's something else that will have to be addressed. You know, I can go to Walmart right now and get one with a bar in it, but it may not be compatible, or the wear and tear might take it. But then there's no guarantee that citizen A is going to get a one that's for automation. But here's the thing, like the reason I put on the agenda for trash bag only discussion is because we already had multiple meetings on the trash bid, and council had probably set everything in stone. So I don't want to revert, because we really need, the legal ad for this is going to be hitting this week. So the point of it today was just to discuss about the trash bags being included or not, because I thought that we had already decided as a group how you guys wanted to move forward. If you guys are wanting to redo the whole bid specs, you're going to call a special meeting. You get that done this week some point in time, because that legal ad is going to be hitting. I got to have it in this week. That would mean that the special meeting would have to be tomorrow if you guys want to redo all that trash bid stuff.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir,
you've got a motion and a second on the floor to vote just for the totes.
I think council wanted to hold to the regular meeting, unless the two individuals that made the motion and the second wanted to recall their motions. If not, then we will have.
Don't matter if you can do it now or do it in the meeting. I mean, you've got a motion and a second. Go ahead and vote on it.
All right. If no one wants to withdraw their motions, I guess I will ask Ms. Berner to call for the vote. You're muted.
Sorry. Councilman Grimm,
No.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
yes,
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins.
yes.
That motion passes 5-1.
Thank you very much, Ms. Berner. All right, and let's see here. So we kind of jumped ahead. Resolutions, ordinances, other business. Mr. Bridge, I guess I'll hand it back to you if you have anything else you need to go over.
Council, excluding the trash bags, does that mean that you guys don't want to have another meeting to kind of relook at everything again on Mr. Grimm's behalf? All due respect to Mr. Grimm, if you wanted a chance to go through it again, are we, council, good, or how do you guys want to move forward with that?
No, it's a bit late.
That's how I was taking it.
Okay, do you mind if I move on in the other discussion, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so number 2 item on there is official city identification bags for council members. A few weeks ago, I'd sent out an email stating that I wanted to get you guys essential personnel badges. So I just wanted to discuss that with everyone and let you guys know the reasoning for that. So when we had the riot, I mean the Black Lives Matter march come in, we actually went under curfew. It was a very loose curfew because we wanted our citizens to be out and about. If they're not doing anything bad. But in the future, if we have to do something else like that and it's more strict, or there's a, God forbid, a natural disaster in town, it'd be very useful for each council member to have a picture ID that says they are essential to the city of New Carlisle, and you are a council member. So it's not something you guys would have to carry with you at all times, or show anyone that you didn't need to show. But in those times that you would need it, it would be just a form of identification for the city. So how does council feel about that? We already have everything in-house to make. We just have to get your picture taken at the pool, and then we can process everything within a matter of hours.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Basically, I think this is a very good idea, and one of the areas that we probably would have used these would have been when we had the grain elevator collapse down here,
Yes.
because we had a lot of, let's say, deputies, other people that were protecting the area. They would not know any of us by sight, and with having a quote unquote justifiable badge upon us to solidify to who we are, and that we would have quote unquote access for that area. I think the same thing could be said in the event that we did have a major fire, a major event in the downtown area or anywhere else in town. Not that we as council people would come in and try and tell anybody how to do their job, but at least we could be in there in order to get the necessary information in regards to whatever needs to happen to come after such an emergency.
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Ms. Hopkins, did you have something?
No, I just agree.
Oh, okay. Anyone else? Any comments?
Yes, yes. If there's a major disaster, why are we there? We should be avoiding the area and letting the people that know what they're doing take care of the situation.
Well, I mean, I guess it would depend on the disaster, but I remember when the tornado had went through, when Trossels was still in town, and after that was all done, I think I remember a lot of the city employees were down just picking up flags from the poles and things like that. I mean, it may not be super necessary for us to be there, but once the professionals have everything out of the way, I mean, I think it's a good idea just to
I would
have
like
them just in case.
to hear the chief's opinion.
We'll go with Chief and then to Mr. Bridge.
Actually, can I go before Chief?
Yes, sir. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
When there is a natural disaster, it is not your administration that takes the lead. It is actually your elected officials. So if there's declared a natural disaster in the city of New Carlisle, the mayor is usually the head reporting, and then the administration does a second kind of backseat. So there's absolute complete necessity for all elected officials to have that badge, because like I said, in those events, the people kind of tend to look at their elected officials before their administrators. But for sure, the mayor does get named the head of that communication line.
Right. I remember we did with the old with Chief Chief before you, two chiefs, Tracy Young. We did some emergency natural disaster training. I think one time that went over some of that stuff. It was actually pretty interesting. But thank you, Mr. Bridge. Go ahead, Mr. Trustee.
As Mr. Bridge said, elected officials are basically the ones that they're going to look to, just like during.
Oh, I think he froze.
That or he's holding really still.
We're going to look to the elected officials for services. We need different things gotten for us. We're going to look to those officials. So they should be able to be in. Also, too, when we do a press conference, it's a lot better to have that elected official standing by us. That way the citizens not only see us or law enforcement, but they also see their elected official.
right?
Okay.
And this isn't gonna, cost wise, this is gonna cost a nickel, because the city, you already have all the equipment to do it, the blank IDs, so basically all you need to do is take a picture and hit print, correct?
Yes, same thing we use for the pool passes.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on that?
Can I say something?
Sure can.
This goes clear back into the fire department way before Chief Tracy and a lot of others. We had it back when Charles Harvey was the chief. They went to ID badges. And as you know, when the elevator collapsed, several of the council members were there. So yeah, I have to agree, we need the badges there.
Thank you very much, sir.
Fire,
Anyone else?
is that something you can look into disaster training for some council members, actually, that we brought that up?
Yes, sir, we can. We can go ahead and do one ourselves here. If the council would want to get together one night, we can do it right here at the station. We can go over the instant command program, what it entails, and what and where their role would lie in that instant command.
I think that would be beneficial, so we all know our roles.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Just
We're
let me
gonna
know
be-
whenever,
If we're gonna be there, we should know what we're doing.
just let me know whenever you want to set that up, and I'll set the training up for you.
That's fantastic. Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
All right, and back to you, Mr. Bridge, for number 3, I guess.
Yeah, number 3 is reopening of lobby at City Administration Building. So an email had went out to me about reopening it. I responded back. I said, yeah, it's about time to start talking about it, thinking about it. I do have a quote from Clark County Glass Company. They came out last week, looked at our facility. Last Friday, I took myself and Angela, who would be working behind that glass every day, up to their facility so she could see the material being used and what the final product's going to look like. They did send us back our quote. It's a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be. So the quote right now to switch out that glass to make it more safe for Angela is around $1,250. So came in a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. So one of the things with reopening the lobby, I would request council, whichever direction you chose to do, we wait until that glass is installed. I'm going to have my opinion on where I think we stand with the lobby. Because some things that I've noticed. But whatever council decides to do or directs me to do, I just hope that we can do it at least after the new glass is installed. But before council gets into discussion, I will say that we've been operating the past few weeks on an appointment-only basis, and it's going very well. We still have not received any complaints about the lobby not being open. I have discussed this with our city staff who work in the main area that they would be exposed to. They are not comfortable with the lobby opening up at this point. They would like to do a month-by-month scenario. They did mention the fact that cases in Clark County are still rising. So speaking on behalf of the the staff that actually work behind there, I told them I would be communicative with council. But whatever way council decides to direct me to do, I would just ask that at the least we wait until the glass is installed. And then I'll throw it back to council for you guys' questions and open discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. I see 3 of you, so I'll go with Mr. Grimm first.
The new glass, will there be available? Will the people be able to give put payments in?
Yeah, so what it's going to do, it's going to be a lot thicker glass than what we have now, and so it's going to be shatterproof. But the big improvement is that right now we just have an open hole. So that draft just gets sucked in from the lobby right in Angela's area. Normally her face, because she's sitting down in that. So the new glass is going to have a slide, like a door that we can go back and forth. So someone just standing out there filling paperwork, Angela will be able to slide that door. And she'll be able to slide it open if there's an exchange of paper going through it. So that's the big difference. And then the microphone we're going to keep, the one we already have, because it's a nicer microphone. And they're going to cut a new hole off to the side so Angela can pull that microphone over and maintain eye contact. Because right now, with how that is installed, it's literally right here. So Angela has to kind of do this to talk to people. So we're just going to relocate that. But, I just want to also tell council that we have got we have 2 employees in the city building that are immunocompromised, and that's something that we definitely have to take into account. It's something I've taken into account when I decided to close the lobby so early in the game. because we do have two staff members that have underlying health conditions that we do need to be cautious of. But I just want to present council with all the facts before you guys have this discussion about the lobby.
All right, thank you. Mr. Grimm, was you finished?
I'm done, yes, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Mr. Vice Mayor and then to Mr. Cobb.
I believe that the CDC, the governor, and probably the health commissioner Patterson have made known that they expect this virus in the next 30 to 60 days to have a resurgent effect. Since we have had very little, if any, complaints about the way we are handling the lobby, I personally would like to see us continue with that program until we come up with a better program of what this virus is, how long it's going to last, the vaccine, etc. I see no sense in putting our personnel in jeopardy due to the fact that we need the lobby open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor, and to you, Mr. Cobb.
You've got right here to the north of us, 33 people tested positive for the virus on the farm up there. They've got a bunch of people that they can't even contact because they don't know who was there. You've got sick people in the office there. I think right now we just need to keep the office closed and take it month by month because the virus is coming back around. Right now, the Midwest is starting to get hit heavy. We are part of the Midwest. So I think we ought to drag our feet a little bit on this rather than to get all these people in the city and the city goes down. That's
Thank
what
you,
I
Mr.
got to
Cobb.
think about it.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Hopkins.
I think that we should open the lobby back up. I have had several complaints about it. I'm surprised nobody else has. Plus, I don't think we should open it up until we get that new glass. I think if they change the requirements where you're not supposed to wear a mask, we should still require people to wear a mask. But I do think we need that lobby open back up, just based on feedback I've had.
Can I
Thank
ask
you, Mr.
what the complaints have been regarding the lobby being closed? So maybe we can approve on that just in case it is closed.
They don't have, like, they just want to drop something off to people where they can, like when they're dropping off an application for a permit, they want to talk to somebody. They don't like having to make an appointment.
Okay, there's no guarantee that if they drop it off, and I respect what you say, but very rarely do they drop permits off and then someone's there to talk to them right away. It usually requires a phone call review of the permit.
Well,
But I have not had any complaints on that.
another thing too is when they're dropping off cash and then they get no receipt, they just put it in an envelope where you drop the water bills.
Yep.
And I've had no one lose their money, but they don't like that idea.
We mail out receipts if someone pays cash, if they do what they're supposed to do, and that's put that stub in there with it. If they just or sometimes we get cash payments with nothing on the envelope, and we got to kind of go through and say someone has $40. We just have to go through the data and cross out. But we do mail out receipts if they do pay cash in the envelope.
Thank you, Ms. Hopkins. Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Ms. Eggleston.
Not had any complaints at all with the lobby being closed, but I don't think we need to open it until that new window's put in.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Eggleston. Yeah, I would like to see it open. I agree with what Ms. Hopkins was saying. I mean, it may not actually change as far as actual business as far as what you were saying, Mr. Bridge, but I think it's, people feel better when they've got a face that they can at least interact with when they're dropping something off or making a payment. It feels a little bit better that way. I'm fine with the glass and once it's in, but I would like to see it open. I mean, if you're going to have that new protective glass in there, and still require masks when people come in and out, I don't see an issue with it opening. I mean, people are going about their daily lives as far as grocery shopping, getting gas for your car. For the most part, I would assume it would be fairly okay to open the city building. But that's just, my 2 cents.
Another thing with that too, should we open it? There's going to be limitations who can be in that lobby. You're only going to have maybe 2 people max.
Right.
You got to stand in the foyer. But here's another component of this. If someone comes in and they test positive and they do contact tracing and they find out that they were in that city building, we're all quarantined for 14 days. So that's something else you guys would have to think about as well. So I understand, and I think that I just think it's a little too early. The more that I think about it, my recommendation is do it like a month-to-month analysis. Keep it closed for August and then September kind of relook at it, because I do have staff members that if they get sick, it's going to cause them some issues.
Well, I think you had I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, sir.
No, I'm done. You're good.
I was just going to say, I think you've got the general support for what you just said just now. So I don't think there's an issue. I don't think there's an issue there. So it looks like you can just, Mr. Cobb.
Also take consideration, CDC is also talking about people wearing the mask plus the face shield.
Mask and a face shield?
Yes, sir. That was on the day. And CDC is talking the plastic face shield
Oh,
plus the mask.
gotcha. Well,
Even-
council, however you guys direct us to do, we will make do and we will adjust accordingly.
Even though you still got to take, when you open that window, it still can come in.
Oh, it's not getting rid of the draft. It's just a window. So.
So I think you got what you need there, Mr. Bridge.
I'm still unsure what's going on with the lobby.
Okay. Well, what my take, unless somebody wants to, we can address it with a motion here, or we can do it in a normal meeting, but I was taken from all the conversation that I think everyone's okay with you going by month basis once the window's installed.
You want me to put it on? I'll just make a note, and what I'll do is let's just talk about it next meeting, if that's okay with everyone. Just bring it back up, because if that window's open and if it's in for the next 2 weeks, then we actually have a basis to go off of. Does that make sense? Now that we know the window's in, then kind of revisit the discussion and then see how the numbers go. I'm really protective of our staff, and I get it. We all need normalcy back, but at what cost? And I will always stick my neck out there for the staff. I'd rather keep people healthy and secluded from the virus at all costs versus someone just coming in and wanting to drop off a permit face to face. I hope that's come out the correct way, because there's still avenues to talk to someone. There's still avenues to make an appointment. There's still avenues to get your questions answered with the permits or any question you may have, but there's not a lot of the recourses if someone gets sick. And that's, I think, how council should look at it, is what's correctable and what's not correctable if something will happen. But I appreciate everyone's viewpoints on that. I really do.
All right. I guess we will move on. Did you have anything else to add for this work session, Mr. Bridge?
I do, and I would like to know, we are discussing community cleanup. We're talking about that. So Pride workers that they usually send out they're not sending them this year. So a lot of our labor manpower was that. So I was emailing Mr. Kiko back and forth today, and there's things that we can figure out as far as exchange of money and stuff like that. But what we can't figure out is the labor that we're going to need. So if we decide to do the community cleanup, which I think everyone wants, we're going to need additional manpower. Is any council members there that can help volunteer for that Saturday?
Wait a minute, you just said you were concerned about your employees getting sick. You don't want to put
He
me out there and
concerned
get
about
sick, do you?
Oh, I mean, we can split hairs like that all you want. This is a service that council wanted me to look at doing, so that's what. Don't keep the messenger.
Thanks for throwing us out there, Mr. Bridge.
Hey, you know how many times I get thrown under the bus in these meetings?
I'm joking. I'm joking.
What Saturday is it?
We
Yeah,
haven't
which,
set a date yet, and that's the $1 million question. I mean, I'm sure some. I'm not saying we need all 7 there. Just some show. I mean, if you have the Saturday morning open, I'm sure you guys could come pay a visit. Manual labor it is because it was a labor intensive event. Like I
yeah,
said,
it
the
is.
Pride workers, ones who did all the hard labor. So now we're going to have to do that in house. So what we're doing now is going and getting some employee responses back to see if they would volunteer their time, because if we don't got employees volunteering and then we don't have anyone to physically take the trash out of the cars to put it in the dumpster. So it's this year more than ever would be we all need to come together and volunteer to get this done for the city, because I love that event. Our citizens love that event because it does make a big dent in some trash. So I would love to see it go on. We're just going to need a lot of volunteers, whether it be
Right.
county employees or business owners helping out.
Let me ask you this real quick, and not to cut you off. We've got about 3 minutes till 7. So I'll tell you what, does everybody want to let that stew for a little bit and we can hit it again under other business in the normal meeting?
Okay.
That way, if anybody needs a restroom break real quick. So, all right, well, if everybody's okay with that, you're finished, Mr. Bridge? All right, we'll need a motion to. Mr.
Don't forget
Cobb.
to excuse
Oh,
Noakowski.
yeah.
I want to make a motion to excuse Mrs. Yeah,
Okay.
Linda.
Second.
All right. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
That motion's accepted 6-0-1.
All right, need a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion
moved.
adjourned. Second.
Motion by Mr. Cobb, I think, and a second by Ms. Eggleston.
All right. All right. Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Accepted.
All right, that'll end this meeting. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. So if everybody needs a break, we'll see you at 7 o'clock.